3, 2, 1. Send us free stuff, Coke. That stuff we said about Pepsi in the last few videos, that's all lies, man. It's all you, baby. The 2011 prequel to The Thing is a movie that bombed hard at the box office and a T-1000 into a pool full of mercury. A fact many attributed to the film's atrocious CGI, an element that was added later in production and, as it turns out, for the most stupid fucking reason ever.
So fans of the channel must have watched The Thing by now.
Yes, we've talked about it a lot, and it's one of my personal favourite movies of all time. If you've not seen it, it's famous for its practical effects, because I think it's Rob Bottin works in that movie, and the story is he is a special effects fucking wizard. He's the guy who made the RoboCop suit. If you know, I think he did all the extra background stuff in the cantina scene of Star Wars, and I believe he also played the tallest guy in the cantina band. And he's quite a private person, but you can tell in the few interviews he's given about The Thing, like, he fucking loves his job. He's just one of those people where just like his enthusiasm just shines through. Like, he fucking loved making these weird, horrible creatures, and that's why he works so hard.
I want you to make The Thing. Right, and I went, oh my god, this is fantastic.
Before we get on to a little bit further on, what's your favourite?
The practical effects in the film? I think it's the dog thing, because I watched it with I watched the director's commentary on The Thing a while back, and it was pointed out by I think Rob Bottin or John Carpenter that all the little details that he put in that no one noticed. And I watched it and they say, oh yeah, if you look, it opens like a flower, and if you pay attention, that instead of petals, it has tongues. It's the dog tongues. Oh. Yeah. And that to me is amazing because it means that effort was put in. Like, even like he could have just made it look like this disgusting monstrosity. No, thought and care went into what it would look like. That's my favourite form of The Thing, but in terms of the practical effects, I think my favourite one in the film is the one because it's known as the effect that no one could figure out how they did it. And that's when you know it's a fucking good effect. And it's where R.J. McCready, like Kurt Russell, he puts the hot needle into the blood and it just leaps out of the sky. If you watch the scene back, you'll notice that Kurt Russell's hand doesn't move. And that's because it's a fake hand. Oh. It's a fake hand with like all the mechanism hidden in the hand, but it's framed in such a way that it looks real. And because they keep cutting back to it, you don't notice. Well, I think the only effect in the movie that doesn't really hold up is the shot immediately after that is the dummy shot of the guy who gets his head caught in the thing, and they swing it around. It's like, oh god, if that shot wasn't in the movie, I'd say it's close to perfect.
It's the prequel of The Thing, which is called
The Thing.
I assume they were going to use CG from the start.
No, they weren't. And you can find interviews with virtually everyone involved with production up until the movie got released saying, yeah, of course we're going to use practical effects. This is a prequel to a movie famous for its phenomenal practical effects. Of course we're going to pay homage to that with our own take on The Thing using practical effects. And I think the screenwriter for the film categorically refused to work on it if it was going to contain CGI. He went in and said, I'm not going to write your fucking script if this is a CGI clusterfuck. Like, put some respect on John Carpenter's work, man. It's got to be practical effects.
How far through production did they use practical effects?
All the way. There is a cut of the movie that contains practical effects. Obviously, it's not finished because they were going to use CGI for what I believe CGI should be used for, and that's just finishing up. Just remove wires, add a bit of blood here. I think one of the things they said, add more tentacles to the thing, is what they were going. Like the screenwriter said, the only excuse I'll use for CGI is add more tentacles. That's the only reason you can do it. Which when you're making a Thing movie, always add more tentacles. Like, there is never enough tentacles on the Thing. I agree with that because one of the most unsettling effects in the 1982 movie is when the Thing opens up and all the hundreds of gooey yellow tentacles just fly out. It's flopping all over the joint. That always freaked me out as a kid because it just moves in such an unnatural way.
There's also when the guy drops to his knees in the snow.
Yeah, and he's half transformed, and that's when they realise the Thing can take the form of anybody. And that always scared me, and that's the sound designers there who was working overtime on that bad boy. If we're going to talk about that, there is one example that I want you to put in, maybe you've not seen it, people might not have, is the film Annihilation. There is a famous scene in Annihilation where it's the idea is like there's a weird orb and animals are getting like basically stuck together. And there's a scene in that movie where there's a bear that is half joined with a human, and it has like a human skull on it. And it comes in and you can hear the person inside it screaming the entire time it's on screen.
So this film has a monster that's half bear and half man.
Yeah.
What if it was also half pig?
You just ruined it. You made it not cool. God damn it.
Man-Bear-Pig is very real, and he most certainly exists. I'm Cereal.
So a full practical cut of this film does exist.
Somewhere out there, yes.
Does that mean that, like, throughout the entire production, everybody was like, the CG was never an intention for the creature?
No, and everybody working on the film, from like the actors all the way up to, like I said, the screenwriter, the director, initially, and the producers, were like, yeah, of course it's going to be practical effects. Like The Thing it's a classic. Of course, we've got to pay as much respect to this thing as we can. And I think the best example of that respect being shown is the fact that originally it was going to be a remake of the 1982 one, but no one wanted to touch it. And I think someone working on it said, well, why would you remake The Thing? It's pretty much close to perfect. That'd be like drawing a mustache on the Mona Lisa. Because they said, we can't do a sequel because the sequel ruins the ending, so we can't do a remake, so we can only really make a prequel. You get to see the explanation for how, when they go to the research base and you find it destroyed, how did it get like this? And that's what the people working on the movie were most intrigued by. So they went, yeah, you know the ending, everybody fucking dies, but have you ever wondered, where did the axe in the wall come from? Which is a famous one. So if people don't know the story of The Thing, quickly, it's a evil alien Arctic research base, and the prequel is the people who found the alien originally. Because in the original Thing, 1982 one, they go to this burned out base and go, what the fuck happened here? And then the Thing attacks them. And then the prequel is, oh god, here's what happened. Everything just went wrong forever. And what they did is they watched the movie and went through it with a fine-tooth comb and noted every single thing in that movie. Okay, make note of that. We've got to explain where that comes from. And they had pictures of the original movie all around set to ensure absolute consistency between the two.
So who was responsible for the practical effects that would have been in the prequel?
That would be Amalgamated Dynamics, who were, like everybody fucking else working on the movie, like, that movie is a classic. Half of us do this for a living because we watched that movie as a kid and thought it was baller as fuck. We are going to try our hardest to, make our own version of The Thing that looks halfway as good as what they managed to pull off in the fucking 80s. We are going to use the full extent of the technological advancements we've made in the 30 years since that movie came out to really show people what The Thing can do.
It's so amazing. Like the quality of the practical effects is incredible.
Oh yeah, and it's just, I felt so bad for the guys who made it.
I feel so sorry for them.
Do you know why? Because they didn't know that they got replaced with CGI until they watched the premiere. They didn't know. They went to the premiere and then all their effects had been just CGI'd over.
Amalgamated Dynamics must have been pissed.
Oh, they were. And the thing that was most annoying for them is that's not the first time that's happened. They said, we've worked on loads of movies, and like we did with The Thing, we went to the premiere and saw that all of our work had either been removed or just covered with CGI. And that's really disheartening. And the reason that we have the videos and the clips we put in today showing the practical effects is because they released them on YouTube because they were getting criticised. Like, well, you were working on this movie, why are there so few practical? No, we made them all. Here's the proof. It's the studio who fucked us over. And they got so annoyed that they went out and they made their own film, which is basically just a retread of The Thing using nothing but practical effects called Harbinger Down. And it didn't exactly set the box office on fire, and I think it's like 45% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, so not really a critical darling, but I'd like to point out it does have better ratings than the 2011 prequel to The Thing. So fuck you, movie studios. Since we're talking about it, let's talk about some good CGI. Any examples in your head, so we're not just spending the entire time crapping all over it?
I'm going to say just set extensions in general. So when they add cities in the background, or Mad Max, where they add like extra desert, they remove those kind of things are like almost always seamless.
And originally that would have been like matte paintings and stuff, which I still think look better.
Matte paintings are fantastic.
Yeah, there's a really good one in The Thing, where the 1982 one, where they first come across the crashed alien spaceship, and they just have that beautiful matte painting. And Star Wars again, Hoth, That was all matte paintings. But again, that you can just do CGI for that now.
Well, the way they used to do those was they'd paint it onto glass.
Yes.
And have this projector
I love
behind.
that.
It's fascinating.
My favourite one, though, and the one that no one ever realises, is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Do you know the big warehouse full of boxes? Yeah. That's just a corridor, and it's a map. All the boxes on the side are matte paintings, and you don't know. You put that clip in, and I tell people that's a painting. No, it's not. It's a real location. Well, no, it's not. What location has that many boxes? It's a painting. That's how good it is. Yeah, we talk about CGI, we immediately go to like a practical effects. It's so much cooler. It's more impressive.
Yeah.
It's cheaper and it looks better. I don't understand. It's like when they blow up cars and stuff in movies. Like most of the time it's cheaper to just get a real car and crash that shit. It's like the Blues Brothers was famous for it. We're going to talk about good CGI, the granddaddy of them all, Jurassic Park, which I found out recently, which blew my mind. It was like 14 minutes of dinosaurs in that movie, and I think 7 of them are CGI dinosaurs. The famous one being like the T-Rex roaring at the very start in the rain. There's
so many funny stories about that. Like the fact they were like, we want to set it in the rain at night. They made the animatronic, and the animatronic wasn't designed to get wet.
Yeah.
Let's keep trying it out.
And did you hear as well that it would shake uncontrollably every now and again? So it sounded like it was sneezing. Again, we're talking about the practical effects of the point, but they combine them and it works. The best thing about CGI is watching behind-the-scenes footage without the CGI added, like the Twilight one. Yeah. Of whenever Bella is petting a wolf, she's just petting a guy in a wolf suit. And there's all the behind-the-scenes shots of just a guy putting his head in a lap. It's like, he got paid to do that.
I remember watching the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, and in the troll fight, it was the cave troll fight, that was like a huge thing on a stick, so they knew where to go with the head.
Tennis, so it's always a tennis ball on a stick,
all these heroes running away from this like thing on a stick.
A guy with a stick. It's like a board with a nail in it. It's one step removed from that. If you're going to talk about Lord of the Rings, though, you have to go, like, again, a film known for its practical effects. I think they actually had an armoury making armour for all the orcs. Like, then you go straight to fucking The Hobbit, which made Ian McKellen cry because he was on a set on his own, surrounded by tennis balls, and he burst into tears going, this isn't why I got into acting.
Something I learned recently about Thanos.
Okay.
So a fantastic bit of CG captured like all of the movement of
Josh Brolin. Yeah, Brolin was on set doing all the movements.
Something I discovered is in close-up shots they have a different CG model for Thanos than further away
because it's got more detail. I think he even has a little bit stubble, doesn't he?
They must have done it for other parts of his body.
Oh yeah.
So if you ever did a close-up of him, like with his, they'd have to do like a really, really detailed hand.
Yeah. Well, the gauntlet was real, wasn't it? That was a real effect. That was like a real thing they made. Like, and it weighed a ton apparently, which was like metal. Which I think is great. I hope like Peter Dinklage helped make it. Is that the greatest piece of casting in cinema? You get Peter Dinklage, but you make him giant. Which I remember howling at that scene. The fact that it's just a giant Peter Dinklage is like, yes, so good. Like he's been in 2 Marvel movies now. So he was Oliver Trask.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, the completely meaningless villain who does nothing in that X-Men universe. And he's like, no, I fought Stormbreaker, baby.
But it's like there's 2 Oliver Trasks in that universe. Yeah. And one of them is like a 6-foot black guy.
And one of them is Peter Dinklage.
Like
he went through a lot of puberty. That's all we're going to say.